Everybody, it's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. Monday, right before July 4th, right before we head into the July 4th holiday. Some had off from Friday all the way extending till Tuesday. Some had to go in today and work. And then, obviously, we'll have off tomorrow, like myself. So of course, but the grind never sleeps, so it's nothing new for those doing in this kind of line of work and everything like that. But make sure you all follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Apple TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud. Am I forgetting? Oh, sorry, iTunes. Yeah, that's right. That way you all will be notified whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live and whenever a new KBR Sports Podcast is posted. Also, don't forget to follow KBR Sports on Twitter at KBR_Sports, where we keep the live links and show topics prior to every single show. Also, don't forget to follow the KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR. Actually, I think I just said that. Sorry, I'm losing track of my thoughts. I'm already thinking about the holiday, honestly. But also, don't forget you can call in at 571-991-0566. That way, you all can join on whatever KBR Sports topic may be discussed that day, and to pitch your own topics that you want to hear discussed on the show. All right, so for July 4th, man, just before I get into all the sports topics and everything like that. So for July 4th, normally, the normal do is that everybody ends up having a cookout like that. People normally end up having pool parties or some of the sort. So July 4th is a pretty fun weekend. Obviously, it's like you're pretty much celebrating America and everything like that. So that's definitely great. And it's one of those days that you kind of sit back and think about it. Think about July. If you really truly think about it, sit back and think about what you've done each July 4th, right? And think about what the continuum theme is in each July 4th that you've celebrated. And it's like sometimes you wonder, do you celebrate July 4th correctly? Like, are the cookouts, are the pool parties and stuff the correct way to celebrate the holiday? And should they be celebrated a different kind of way? I mean, you essentially are celebrating America's independence and everything like that. So it's one of those things that, like, I always wonder, are we when I think celebrating independence, I don't think cookout. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. It's not exactly the first thing that pops into my mind when I'm thinking independence of a country. Burgers and hot dogs. That's the first thing that's going to come to my mind. And so I always think about it, and I think about it's random because I think about all the different things that we celebrate. I'm like, well, okay, so we celebrate July 4th for cookouts and stuff like that. We celebrate Memorial Day the same sort of way. Christmas, you obviously celebrate with gifts. Thanksgiving, you celebrate for big feasts. Easter, you celebrate with Easter eggs and whatnot. But do all the celebrations of each holiday really accurately represent the holiday in and of itself? Like, Christmas and Thanksgiving, I think, are probably the most accurate ones. But other than that, I mean, Easter with Easter eggs, it doesn't really make sense to me if you think about it. Like, I don't know how, if for those of you who know, like, the essence of the Easter holiday and what it really represents, especially to the Christian community, it's one of those things that you wonder how the Easter egg or the Easter bunny sort of comes up into the whole conversation. It's just weird when you think about it. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there just to give everybody a thing to think about. And it's also weird when you think about July 4th. Imagine where we were, as I'm getting ready to go into this first segment. Imagine where we were a year ago from today on July 4th of last season or last year. Let me give you a warp through the time machine just to give you a quick glance back at what happened on July 4th of last year. So if you think about it, July 4th of last year, we're all sitting there. The biggest free agent on the market is none other than himself, Kevin Durant. Everybody's sitting there wondering, what's Kevin Durant going to do? Everybody's thinking he's most likely going to go back to OKC. He's most likely going to return to the Thunder and make another run at a title with Russell Westbrook in tow and with a new and kind of reinvigorated team. But now things have shifted up a bit, and at that decision Kevin Durant made last year, July 4th, changed the whole parameters of the NBA. Now we come back a year later. Kevin Durant just signed his extension, which I'm about to get into. Just signed his contract extension with the Thunder. With the Warriors. Yeah, some people wish it was with the Thunder. But yeah, with the Warriors, which was a 2-year, $53 million deal with a second-year player option in it. And it's just crazy when you think of how much difference a year can make. Think about it. Here are the things that have changed in the past year. Kevin Durant's played one full season with the Warriors. Kevin Durant's a champion. Kevin Durant's a Finals MVP. Steph Curry is no longer seen as the best player on the Warriors. LeBron James is now 3-5 in the NBA Finals. 3-5 in the NBA Finals. We're talking about LeBron possibly leaving Cleveland when a year ago it didn't even seem like he was going to retire there. Russell Westbrook broke the triple-double record. Russell Westbrook won his first MVP. Chris Paul is now not on the Clippers anymore. He's now down south, further down south in Houston. Jimmy Butler's no longer in the Eastern Conference. He's now in the West. Like, you just think about the multitude of things that have changed. It all has changed revolving around Kevin Durant's decision. Because what are the odds Russell Westbrook wins MVP and gets averages a triple-double in the season if Kevin Durant stays there? What are the odds that Chris Paul feels the need that I can't win in Los Angeles or with the Clippers and goes to Houston if Kevin Durant never goes to Golden State? What are the odds that the Minnesota Timberwolves, Timberwolves probably still would have made the move, but what are some of the moves that have happened in this free agency, or just the different multitude of trades? Would Paul George be on the Oklahoma City Thunder? Would they have traded Victor Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George if Kevin Durant never leaves Oklahoma City? You think about all the way one guy's decision sends a ripple effect throughout the whole NBA. Because of Kevin Durant's decision, now LeBron's looking at a situation where LeBron might never win a ring again. And it's a realistic possibility. So when you look at the whole scope of everything, you gotta sit back and think, man, this guy's decision really changed how everything in the league is playing out. Now they've instituted the Supermax, where teams can pretty much give a guy over about 40% of the cap in terms of how much they're going to pay them. Up northwards of over $200 million in signing a guy. That's crazy. That's ridiculous money if you really think about it. So with these Supermaxes now, you're really incentivized. You're really making guys, and especially when you tack on the 5th year, you're really making guys think, do I want to give up this much money in order to sign with X team or whatever team to join forces with this guy? You know, because a lot of times when you throw money into the equation, it's not just one guy, it's another person. All right, y'all, we got our first call of the night. Let me take this call real quick. My man's Prince. What's going on, bro? You're on KBR Sports, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. What's going on, brother?
Oh, you on the air, bro?
Yeah, man.
Hey, bro, I'm on the toilet, bro. What you talking about, bro?
This guy.
What you talking about, bro? So I can chime in, bro.
I'm talking about how. So pretty much, I'm talking about how Kevin Durant's decision to go from Golden. How much has changed since the decision Kevin Durant made. Because we're a year, essentially tomorrow will be a year since Kevin Durant made the decision to go from Golden State, or go from Oklahoma City to Golden State. And I was just listening to the multitude of things that have happened as a ripple effect, like Russell Westbrook breaking the triple-double record, Russell Westbrook winning an MVP, Kevin Durant getting his first ring, LeBron possibly never winning another ring, Steph Curry not being the best player on the Warriors anymore, like those kind of things that have happened. So, I mean, what do you think about the ripple effect? Now that we're a year removed, what do you think of the state of the NBA since Kevin Durant made the decision?
Trash, but we're ruined. Bruh, he just took 53 M's for 1 year. That may seem like a lot, but it's really not. It's really not. Like, he lost money taking that deal. Just to stay with them. Like, the league has to find a way to beat these people, and it's not going to happen.
So
we got to do what's going on in the finals.
So do you think Kevin Durant? So I already know your position for the most part, but so I'm guessing you're gonna say that you don't think this is good for the league at all.
Absolutely not.
But why not though? Because the league they had a record breaking viewership this past season.
They have I don't care. As a basketball fan who likes competition, this is not what I want to see. I don't want to see the same team walk their way to the championship like they did this year. I don't want to see it again.
But Prince, really think about it. Okay, think about it this way. You say you don't want to see the same team walk to the championship again. So would you rather see? Okay, think about this NBA Finals. Okay, let's say Cleveland would have lost last year in the first round to the Pacers. The Pacers get to the NBA Finals. Let's say the Utah Jazz beat the Warriors because Kevin Durant was hurt or Steph Curry was hurt. Would you want to watch a finals series with the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers?
Yes.
What?
Why not? That's ridiculous. They beat the Cavs, and then I'm sorry, they just beat the Cavs, and then Utah beat them, and then they go face Golden State. It's a drama. That's sports, bro. It's entertainment.
But that
two guys go out. That's the ball game now.
But that kind of that kills the drama of the moment because
no. You want to see four fancy guys drop 20 a pop and celebrate and dance around the stadium. while they're up by 50. That's what you want to see.
No. What everybody wants to see is stars. People want to see the biggest stars on the biggest platform. You don't want to watch a team of just Paul George playing against a Utah team.
People want to be complaining about this.
You said what?
People want to be complaining about this. I'm one of the many. I really don't see a lot of people out there happy about this other than Golden State Warriors fans.
Well, I agree that a lot of people aren't happy with the move, but I don't. But I think if you ask people, and wholeheartedly, I don't think anybody would want to see a Utah Jazz and Indiana Pacers finals. If you truly ask people, would they rather want to see Cleveland and Warriors again, or Utah and Indiana, or some other team in the Eastern Conference play a lesser team in the Western Conference?
That's all subjective, though. That's all subjective, though. Because of what type of fan you're speaking to. You can't really say that. I mean,
but that's the kind of fan that generates NBA sales.
Nah, I just think if a series is really good, competitive-wise, it can offset that star power.
But see, you're coming from the perspective of a guy. Let me say this quick point real quick. You're coming from the perspective of a guy that's a general fan of the game of basketball, but casual fans of the NBA, they're not just fans of basketball. They're fans of the stars playing. Like, they're fans of LeBron. They're fans of Steph. They're fans of Kevin Durant. If you take those guys away from the equation, they won't be drawn to watch the games.
That's fine. Look, stars are born every day. Two, because I'm a fan of basketball, this is my perspective, the opinion, shouldn't hold weight. Like, so what about this casual fan? And Brendan, think about this, bro. If we had a finals like that, Celtics and Bulls 09, what? Bro, a final like that? Do you know how crazy that would be?
But for how great that series was, the worst part is the finals in that year. The finals did better numbers that year than that series. That series is better than the finals.
What was that? The first round?
Yes.
Like normally, no one's gonna tweet us the NBA finals at the end of the day. But if we swap that out and put that in the finals, and we play down the finals, Brendan, I think that would be one of the greatest finals ever.
It would be. It would be one of the greatest finals ever, but it's about how do you draw people to come watch? Because if your headline is not one of the marquee stars in the NBA, you're not going to get a lot of viewership, and that's all the NBA cares about. The NBA doesn't care about whether we enjoy the brand of basketball we're watching or not. They care about how many people are tuning in to watch, how many people are buying merchandise for these games. That's what the NBA is pushing for.
We shouldn't get stuck into this new narrative of having a bunch of stars and bringing them in one NBA finals. It never used to be like this.
But that's what changed when LeBron went to Miami.
It doesn't mean that it needs to be supported.
It changed. It all changed when LeBron went to Miami.
But it's a good change for the sport of basketball.
What, LeBron's decision?
Man, what does LeBron decision have to do with anything?
No, I'm saying that's what essentially when the there were super teams prior to that.
Not true.
No, you don't think there were super teams before LeBron's decision?
There are. That's what I'm saying. I don't know anybody. That's why I don't know you're getting.
Because there was a point in time where we were at a juncture where you were seeing primarily teams with one premier guy go to the finals, and then it was that premier guy being seen as the guy carrying the team. But now you have teams with multiple guys that could arguably carry their own team, and you're.
The difference is,
What'd you say?
when all those guys were doing it back then, they were all, coming out of their primes. Like, all past 30. These
Well, and see,
Crazy.
but that's LeBron. LeBron was the first one to make the decision that changed the shift that started that. When he started playing with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and they were all in their late 20s.
You know what? Maybe you would have had it maybe 3 years ago before KD did this, but this is bad, man. This is bad. Man, like, bro, don't get it twisted. Hat off to KD because as much as I still don't like that move, he went to the finals and freaking balled. Went ham for the Warriors, bro. This is the thing. You can't take anything away from him. So the fact that he went to a team that already does probably the best team in the NBA, just, you know, the Cavs escaped with that one. Record-setting team, the three NBA All-Stars, and he's already the second best player in the world, and then jumps on that team. And then goes on to what they won 67 games this year.
Yeah, they won 67 games.
And then walks on to the NBA Finals and wins with a record of 15-1.
To be fair,
What in the hell is that, bro?
Cleveland waltzed to the NBA Finals as well. I mean, Cleveland was 12-1. Cleveland was literally 12-1 getting to the NBA Finals. So it's not like they faced the most premier. What?
You can say what you want.
It's the truth.
But they still lost 4 games.
Oh, because they lost to a better team.
Nah, bro.
Well, Prince, I gotta let you go, bro. I gotta get ready to go on to my next segment, bro. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about this with you later.
I'm gonna have next segment.
All right, bro.
What's the next segment?
What?
What's the next segment?
Are multiple super teams hurting the NBA?
I'm calling that segment, bro. So wait. When was I called?
Huh?
Man,
Alright. Oh, God. So that's the thing. A lot of people share Prince's sentiments. They feel as though Kevin Durant's decision was really bad for the league. But me personally, a year removed from it, yes, we all knew who was going to the finals. Yeah, we all predicted, yes, it was Golden State and Cleveland. Okay, so if Kevin Durant stays in Oklahoma City, all we're saying is, okay, maybe it's Oklahoma City or Golden State. That's it. All we're affording ourselves is one more team in San Antonio. Sorry, I'm not going to disrespect San Antonio like that. But all we're doing is affording ourselves one more team. But arguably, couldn't you say because of Kevin Durant's decision, we've seen one of the most interesting free off seasons because of Kevin Durant's decision. We're seeing multiple teams not sit back and say, hey, we're just going to stand pat and watch the Golden State Warriors run roughshod throughout the league, but we're actually going to try and make moves to improve our chances of knocking off the Warriors in the event anything happens. Like when I touch on that, when I get to the next slide, I'm going to list out all the major moves that have happened in free. Actually, I already touched on it at the early part of the segment, but a lot of the major moves that happened in the beginning part of free agency, a lot of that you could say is a result of Golden State. Would this have happened if it wasn't for Golden State? Would that have happened if it wasn't for Kevin Durant making his decision? A lot of people are making moves just because of the fact that the Golden State Warriors have Kevin Durant and they need somebody to defend Kevin Durant. I will say that you do have an overwhelming juggernaut that now it seems like every single season you're going to pick them to win. But don't we do that with New England in the NFL? Don't we do that with UConn and NCAA women's basketball? Don't we do that with Alabama and college football? Every year, everybody's always putting all their money on UConn to win. When UConn lost this year, it was the biggest breaking headline. We talked about UConn losing more than Southern Mississippi beating them. So, if it's not Southern Mississippi, it's Southern Missouri. I'm sorry if I mix up the schools, but we're talking about we talk about we don't like dominance in the leagues. Dominance is essentially what pushes ratings. I think if it wasn't for UConn's dominance, what reason would anybody care? I can't truthfully believe that anybody would tell me they'd be into women's college basketball. And that's not. I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. I'm just saying it how it is. It's the truth. People wouldn't watch it as much if it wasn't for the fact of UConn's dominance. College football. We watch the college football season. Of course, anything can happen, especially since it's the sport of football. But we watched the whole college football season with the assumption that Alabama's going to win. When Clemson knocked off Alabama this year, we were so surprised because it was arguably the best defensive Alabama team we've seen in history. Literally, that's what people were saying. It was the best defensive team Alabama's had in college football history. So I think when we say we don't like dominance, we don't like the decision Kevin Durant made, I think like how Prince was saying, I think for NBA purists, it's the truth. I think you really you wouldn't like that, but I think a lot of people, like, think about it. The teams from a year ago, the last season why the Warriors were so interesting because of the fact that they're going for 73-9. The Warriors were still displaying a level of dominance we hadn't seen before, and they were champions that year. A year ago, the Warriors were champion, and they were 73-9. So if anything, they were displaying a higher level of dominance last year than this year. And so when it comes to the fact that when we look at the postseason dominance, this Warriors team essentially traded the regular season dominance they had from a year ago with the postseason dominance they had. Because obviously last year in the postseason, Steph Curry got hurt, they had multiple injuries, whereas this postseason they stayed relatively healthy. So I think it's one of those things that me personally, I do wish it was a point that we would be able to sit back and say, oh man, we can't, like, it's not just automatically the Warriors. But I can say the same thing for the Eastern Conference, because nobody complains about the Eastern Conference when it's always LeBron. And I literally said LeBron that many times. I feel like that's how many times he's been to the finals in the consecutive years. We don't complain about the East, which I'll touch on also in my next segment, or actually in the segment after the next. But we don't complain about LeBron enough in the East, about how his teams have dominated the Eastern Conference. Think about, when was the last time LeBron had a compelling rival in the Eastern Conference? A compelling team that we actually feel like could knock him off. If we're not going to complain about LeBron in the East, we cannot complain about Golden State in the West. The only reason we have an issue with Golden State is because Kevin Durant made a move, and his move made the teams less competitive. Then we can complain about LeBron making the move to Cleveland because he made the Eastern Conference less competitive. Miami was on the downside. Dwayne Wade was aging. Chris Bosh, obviously we see what happened with Chris Bosh. And then LeBron saw, a young and budding Kyrie Irving. Then he saw, we can possibly get Kevin Durant Kevin Love. We trade for Andrew Wiggins, and he went straight to Cleveland and won a championship the year following his initial arrival. So we're saying we don't like dominance, but if LeBron was to reel off 3 rings or something like that, would people really be tripping? Would it really be an issue? Because LeBron is not facing any opposition in the East, and now he certainly won't face any opposition in the East. The East is hurting. It is hurting. The East is, man, I can't even imagine. I'll touch on what I'll get on a lot on the Eastern Conference, everything, and just in the following up segments. But y'all, I'm gonna go to a quick break. But when I come back from the break, I'm gonna address the issue: are multiple super teams hurting the NBA? Stay tuned to find out my opinion when I come back from the break. It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, your 24-hour day. Remember, wait about 30 to 40 seconds. The live link will disappear, but refresh the page, and once you refresh the page, the live link will reappear for you all to tune into. It's KBR Sports.